I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Welcome to my monthly video on the best board game expansions coming to retail. Expansions! The world of more. Welcome to the world of more. We've got 10 expansions coming to retail here in July. If you're going to be at GenCon, come by and say hello to me at one of the different events that I'm doing. I'll put all of the events in the description of this video. Let's get into the games for the month. First up this month, Asmodee is releasing Catan, Traders, and Barbarians. This is kind of a unique game because this is both an expansion and a new edition. It's a new edition of an old expansion. This expansion originally came out in 2007, but Catan recently put out their 6th edition, their 30th anniversary edition, and they're also sort of retooling and refreshing all of the expansions that they've had along the way too. So Catan, Traders, and Barbarians, a new edition of that expansion is coming out. Plays 2 to 4 players in 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. Traders and Barbarians added a ton of variants to Catan. It added some small things and some big things, you know. It added like friendly robber rules where you couldn't put the robber, you know, in somebody's land who had 2 points or less. The Harbor Master card allows you to give victory points to the player with the most harbors, so it made the harbors a little bit more worthwhile. It also came with Barbarians, which were invading Catan, and you have to try to stop them with new knight pieces. And there were also new hexes, one for the castle, one to produce glass, one to produce marble. So, you know, it added a lot of different variation to the game Catan. This expansion is hitting retail again, you know, a refreshed version with sort of new art, new balancing, yeah, so if you like Catan, then, you know, this is probably for you. They're also releasing, Asmodee in association with Catan Studios, is also releasing Catan, Traders, and Barbarians 5 to 6 player extension. This just includes components to include 5 or 6 players instead of 4 players. And I always thought that Catan worked best at, you know, a higher player count in the base game. And so adding 5 or 6 players, more people to trade with, more people to, you know, form alliances with, that sort of thing. So, yeah, if you like Catan, then this is a bunch of different ways to play it. Atlas Games is releasing Catstronauts Fish Finder Satellite expansion. Catstronauts, the board game, is something I included in my best new games coming to retail video only a few days ago. It is a cooperative game where you are working together to solve a core mission, but then there might be sort of tangential missions that happen along the way, and if you like cooperative games, it was a puzzly cooperative game. Well, this expansion adds a second core mission, the Fish Finder Satellite. So instead of just like building the original modules, now you also have to build all the Fish Finder Satellite modules, program the satellite, then activate it. But you also have to finish the other core mission too, so it makes the game a little bit harder. Now you have like 2 core missions that you have to complete, and you know, you need to work together and communicate and get all your tasks done before time runs out. So if you know, like cooperative games, if you want to work together and solve a puzzle together, Catstronauts might be for you. Goliath Games is releasing Sequence Jacks Go Wild. Sequence is a very classic game at this point. There is a board with a lot of cards on it. You are playing a card from your hand and then using one of your tokens to put out onto the board, and you were trying to get sequences. You were trying to get rows in, you were trying to get your own player pieces in rows or columns or diagonals, and if you could do that multiple times, you win the game. There were jacks in the original game, a couple of them, and they got you kind of special abilities. Well, this Jacks Go Wild, instead now there are 12 new jacks in the game, and all of those give you special abilities, switch things up, add a little bit of chaos into the game of Sequence. So if you felt like the game of Sequence was too boring, Jacks Go Wild is a wild expansion. It's got wild in the name. Of course it's a wild expansion. Hachette is releasing an expansion to the game Solstis. This is Solstis Firefly. Plays 2 players. Solstis is a 2-player only game. Plays in 15 to 20 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. Solstis is a very small box game. If you're looking for something that fits into your pocket or a bag or something like that, then Solstis is a good one. You are playing tiles from your hand into a pyramid in front of you, and then you can take tiles from the market that match either the number or the color of the tile you just played and add a second one to your pyramid. Well, the interesting aspect of the game is there is one big pyramid. There are only tiles to make one big pyramid, and all of those are sequential numbers and suits and things. Well, your opponent's going to take some of them, so you're not going to complete your pyramid. They're also not going to be able to complete their pyramid. So you're trying to create regions of areas. You're trying to create the most connected tiles, even though somebody else is going to be taking tiles you need that might split your regions. When you create a grid of 4x4 tiles in your pyramid, you get a spirit, and spirits will get you special abilities. So this expansion adds more. It adds 4 new mischievous spirits into the game. So there's this is kind of a micro expansion. That's already a pretty micro game. But, there were different spirits that had different special abilities. This adds 4 new ones, and it adds Fireflies, which can give you an instant victory in the game. So they're hard to get. They're mysterious Fireflies, but if you can get them, you win. So that is Solstis Firefly. Horrible Guild is releasing Evergreen, Cherry Blossoms, and Bamboo. Plays 1 to 4 players in 45 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game, but on the lower end of medium weight, kind of a welcoming strategy game, Evergreen. Evergreen is essentially a better version of the game Photosynthesis. You are building up nature stuff on your board, trees and different types of trees and different heights of trees, and then the sun will be moving around the board, and trees will be casting shadow and scoring in different ways. You're also going to be adding lakes, and there's a number of different things you're adding to the board. There have also been there was a previous expansion to this too, which added cacti. It added a number of different meeple types of things that you're adding to the board. Well, this is adding 2 modular expansions, which are cherry trees. Cherry trees increase the fertility of your biomes, and bamboos allow you to grow big forests very quickly. So these are different, meeple-esque type of things that you're adding to the board. One of the things I like about Evergreen a lot is the table presence. It looks really gorgeous on your table afterwards. You got this cool 3-dimensional biome, ecosystem that you've created with all these little wooden meeples. And I just thought the game was more balanced and less frustrating than Photosynthesis was. So it's worth checking out, and this is your second expansion to add a couple of new ways to score the game into Evergreen. IV Studio is releasing Veiled Fate Tribunal. This plays 2 to 9 players in 60 to 120 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. I personally loved Veiled Fate. It's a top game for me. I have a Veiled Fate tattoo. Veiled Fate is, I love hidden role games, and one of the cool things about Veiled Fate is a lot of hidden role games, social deduction games, are, high on socialness, maybe low on strategy. I feel like Veiled Fate flips that. Like, it is a social deduction game, it is a hidden role game, but it's a real strategy game, not just like a party game. You are controlling, there are 9 demigods in the game, and only one of them scores for you, but you can move any of them. You can play cards and take actions to move any of them. So the deduction in there, the social deduction aspect of it is like, are you moving this because that's what you care about, or are you moving that to fake me out? And I like that aspect of the game already. It's also a social deduction game that plays well at low player counts because there's always 9 demigods in the game. And so even if you're playing it with 3 players, there's still a lot of faking and feinting that's in the game, which I think is cool. Well, Veiled Fate Tribunal adds a number of sort of modules to the game, and you can play with all of them, you can play with one of them. I think my favorite module in the game is the Hadria expansion. It adds this character Hadria, which will also be earning points in the game. And so in the base game of Veiled Fate, one of the issues that people had was there could be like a runaway leader problem. Like if a bunch of people moved one piece and it just jumped out ahead, it was like, well, if that's one person's piece, they're gonna win the game. When you add Hadria to the game, now you cannot win if you are past Hadria on the scoring track. So you are trying to have the most points but less points than Hadria, and it just adds this layer of intrigue. I think makes the game that much better. This is an expansion I feel like, or that module I feel like I wouldn't play Veiled Fate without now. The other modules are cool too, but to me feels like less essential. Like that one, just that idea of like, oh, I gotta try to lose points at some point because I've gotten too far ahead, or I need to get Hadria to earn points is really cool. Some of the other sort of modules in it there are new Celestials, which add more deduction and misdirection into the game. There are Servants. There are these 3 new miniatures, and they change the way power and scoring works in different regions, and you can move them. They can be commanded by all players. And then there's something called the Renewal Dice, and replaces the permanent refresh card effect that normally activates in the pools. So again, you can combine those, you can play with a single one. It just adds a lot of intrigue and interest to the game Veiled Fate. IV Studio is also releasing Fractured Sky Rift. This plays 2 to 5 players in 45 to 75 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. Fractured Sky is a game that I like a lot as well. You are fighting for control of regions on the board, but you're doing it by placing hidden bid tokens under your airships out there, and you can fake somebody out. Am I putting a bunch of things there because I have a bunch of power there, or am I going really low and just putting multiple characters there so you think that I'm going high? I like that sort of intrigue in the game as well. And one of the things about it is like you can never have more than 10 power out on the board at a time. So it's like you could put a 9 right there, but that means you're putting a 1 and a 0 somewhere else. This expansion, the Rift expansion, adds a set collection aspect to the game. One of the other cool things about Fractured Sky is there is hidden information that you can learn. You can go to these cards and see like what's scoring for the round or what's coming up for scoring, and that is hidden information, but you can pay resources to do it. Well, ultimately, you're trying to win regions to gain starfall. This adds different colored starfalls to the game. You know, different regions will have different colored starfalls, and so you want to collect a set of different colored starfalls, which makes it so maybe you have a little bit more information on where somebody's going, because I'm like, I know you really want this color, so you're probably going to go hard for this region because you can get that color starfall in that region. Or maybe you use that to your advantage and you're like, everybody's going to think I'm going there. Maybe I can win 2 other regions this time. You know, again, just adding more intrigue into the game of Fractured Sky with set collection. Tabletop Tycoon is releasing Black Orchestra Resistance. This plays 1 to 5 players in about 90 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. Black Orchestra is a cooperative game where you are working together to take down Hitler. You are leveling up your character, you are becoming more committed to the cause, and then you are attempting plots to take down Hitler and his leadership team. Well, this expansion, the Resistance expansion, adds 6 new conspirators. These are people you can play as that give you different abilities and you know, things to do in the game. And there's also 3 different modules to add to the game. Each module adds new rules, components, and complexities of the game. You can play with all of them at the same time. You can play with a single one of them. You can mix and match however you want. Oh, one thing I wanted to note is the conspirators from the game, the 6 new conspirators, can be played with any of these modules. They can also just be played with the base game. So if you are like, I don't want all this extra stuff, or I'm introducing the game to somebody, you can use those conspirators in just the base game. So that's cool. If you want a cooperative game with a fun theme about taking down Hitler, then check out Black Orchestra and its new expansion, Resistance. Tabletop Tycoon is also releasing a War of Whispers expansion of influence. A War of Whispers expansion of influence. 2 to 5 players, 60 to 90 minutes, medium weight game. This is an expansion for A War of Whispers that came out in 2019. In A War of Whispers, there were a lot of factions out on the board, and they were vying for control of different areas on the board, but you didn't actually play as one of those factions. You were manipulating the factions out on the board, but you have sort of one faction you score the best for. If they do well, you do well. One faction will lose you points, so you want that faction to do poorly in the game, but everybody has different factions they care about, and so you were placing in like a worker placement aspect to manipulate the factions in different ways on the board. Well, this expansion does a couple of things. One, I mentioned it was a 2 to 5 player game. The original game was a 2 to 4 player game, so it does add a 5th player capability into the game. So it's a new faction called the Sparrow Underground, and you know, it's if you want to play it with more people, you can. The game offers a double-sided board, so there's new sort of setups and scenarios to play, and the main thing it does is it adds 2 new factions that are vying for control of the board. There's the Orca Clan, a new island nation of raiders which threatens coastlines across the map, and you can also, there's something called the Guild, and you can gain unique advantages for your agent through the Guild. So a couple of different, you know, regions on the board now that are vying for control out there. So if you like worker placement or area control, A War of Whispers might be for you. Those are 10 expansions that I have coming to stores near you here in the month of July. Thank you so much for being here. As always, I hope you found something that you're excited about. I hope you found something that you are gonna get to the table soon. Thanks for liking, subscribing, all that great stuff. I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex.